in the honor of His Holiness Kadambakananda Swami Maharaj's departure, we would like the chanting lines will be open from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern after the Chaitanya Bhagavata class today. So please join depending upon your availability. Hare Krishna. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
Hare Krishna. Padma Mataji, Dandrat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvind Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, all glories Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Nala.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radha Pyari Devidasi from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Pyari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyamaguri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyamaguri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. And to all the assembled devotees, this is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Megha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Sushmita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Reshma Mataji. Thank you for joining the call, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I would like to Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Let's move on to the next. Today we'll be talking about Srimad Bhagavatam class. His Grace Keshavanand Prabhu will give in this class on the chapters, Canto 6, Chapter 9, 49th verse onwards. And before proceeding with that, I would like to give the call to Tiffany Mataji for giving the brief introduction about Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories, all glories, all glories to the divine Srila Prabhupada. Today we have with us His Grace Dr. Keshavanand Prabhuji. Keshavanand Prabhuji was a professional doctor for many years, and now he is a practicing monk. For the last 20 years, he has conducted extensive research and authored books in the field of science and spirituality. He feels the rift between science and spirituality must disappear to bring peace in the world. If spirituality is a superstition and a myth, science is materialistic and atheistic. A new approach to life is needed today that can bring the best of both. Science must re-embrace spirituality and be humble to admit its defects, flaws, and ignorance, and spirituality must base itself on sound, scientific, and rational ideas. Keshavanand Prabhuji has studied both Vedic and Western philosophy. Besides learning Sanskrit, he has also learned Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, and Kannada to know about other traditions. His persistent endeavor in the field of science and spirituality has enabled him to develop seminars on diverse topics like science and the Vedas, mind and machines, science fails to explain life, consciousness and beyond, etc. That he has presented these seminars in various colleges in India, Europe, and in America. Under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, he has also started a Gurukul, a traditional system of Vedic education in Punjab, India, where children learn the ancient Vedic culture and values. Besides this, he has also started a farm community. The community has a traditional way of living with mud huts and thatch roof, with cows, and of course, farming. The communities will set a model for the world to show how to live a life based on the principle of simple living and high thinking. Hare Krishna, welcome to the call, Prabhu. Always so wonderful association.
Do you have Prabhuji here?
I don't see Prabhuji on the call.
Oh, should we go?
Trying to call him, but
Anybody who would like to introduce themselves until Prabhuji comes? If anybody would like to introduce themselves, please. Hare Krishna, Balabundha. Tanur Pram, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining, Balabunda ji, Mataji. If there is anybody who would like to introduce themselves, please go ahead. Let's see Prabhuji here.
Dandat Mataji, I am Dr. Karpagali from Kanyakumari district, India, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Kalpaval Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
I don't think Prabhuji joined yet, Mataji, right?
We can read the verse, Mataji.
Oh, okay. Sure, Mataji.
I don't see Prabhuji still, but shall we go ahead and read them, Mataji? Okay, 1 sec. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, Text 49. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naveda kripana shreya atmano gunavastudrik dasyatan ichchato yached yadi sopi api tathavidam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is destined by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, the absolute truth, and who thus knows his real interest. A Kripana, however, is one who has a material bodily concept of life. Not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life, a Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas the Brahmanas who always desire spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who awards it for him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material thing he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he can forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayers to Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by Lord Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 22, text 39. Ami vignya e murkhe vishaya kene deba swacharanamrita diya vishaya bhulaiba. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this foolish material propensity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to God for material possessions in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish, like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know how to accept material possessions, means to accept poison or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self-interest of a human being. Hare Krishna. Oh, Prabhuji still didn't join.
He is coming, Mataji. Can continue chanting.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We have Prabhuji Mataji. I don't see him here. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
लगाना. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam Pranam, all glories to Sri Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for joining the call and giving your valuable association for enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 9 and 49th verse. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Did anybody read the verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, we read the verse and the purport and translation.
Okay, one thing, yeah, fine. I mean, there was, anyway, there's some network issue here, so that's why it got something.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So in between, if there's a network issue, you tell me, but now it's clear or what?
Yes, Prabhuji, your voice is very clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. Oh, so should I begin?
Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please. Actually, you know what? Can anybody read the verse again?
Yes,
Can
Hare Krishna. Naveda kripanashreya atmano gunavastudrik tasya tan icchato yadi so api tatha vidha. Would anyone like to?
Okay, I can go ahead.
Yes,
Those who think material effects to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Purpose, Srila Prabhupada. There are two classes of men, namely Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, absolute truth, and who thus knows his real intention. A Kripana, however, is the one who has the material, bodily concept of life, not knowing how to utilize this human or demigod life. A Kripana is attracted by the things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas Brahmanas who always desire the spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who awards it to him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayers to the Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever the material possessions the Kripana Hare Krishna gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by the Lord in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.39, Amivignaye Murke Vishaya Kenidhiba Swacharanamrita Diya Vishaya Bulaibha. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to the God for material possessions in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him the special favor by taking away whatever the material positions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him the poison even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept the material positions means to accept poison or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from the material bondage. Thus, that is a real self-interest of a human being. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much for this thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for getting late here because internet thing is there, so sorry for that. Okay, this verse is very nice because this verse is very nice because it's talking about Kripnaha, and this concept also comes in Bhagavad Gita, I think, where Krishna is Srila Prabhupada is raising this concept of Kripna there in this Bhagavad Gita, and he says, he defines who is a Kripna, and he defines who is a Brahmana, which is completely opposite of Kripna. Kripna is, the Sanskrit meaning of Kripna is miser, and those people who a miser is one who actually amasses wealth, but he doesn't know, he doesn't spend wealth even on himself. That's a miser. Generally people earn money and they don't spend on others, but a Kripna doesn't spend wealth even on himself. That's the whole problem there. So just like Avanti Brahman was there in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was a Kripna. वो हिंदी में भी से कंजूस मक्खी चूस. That's if anybody knows Hindi, they will understand what I'm talking about. So if a fly falls down in the milk, what the miser will do? He will take the fly and squeeze it and then take out the milk from that fly and then drink it, because he doesn't want to even waste that milk which the fly has taken. So that's a Kripna. So why normal ordinary people are called Kripna? Because this human body is very valuable. Human body is very valuable, and it is said by Prahlad Maharaj, Sudurlabham, Sulabham, Sukalpam. He said this body is achieved very rarely. But Sulabham, it's also achieved very easily. Very easily means we didn't do any effort to get this human body. Just by evolution, spiritual evolution, we got this human body. But it's very rarely achieved. That's the whole point. So this human body is a gift. Human body is a gift, and a precious gift where it's a precious gift that we can use it to cross this material ocean. We know. Soup labam, Prahlad Maharaj says. It's a nice boat. It's a boat. Guru Karna Dharam, where Guru is a captain. And the breezes in that ocean are the breezes of love of God. And that's how we can cross this ocean. But the most important thing is a boat. So this is the most precious thing we have got. But if we don't use this precious thing for our own benefit, on real self-interest, what Prabhupada says, then we're a miser. Just like a miser, he even doesn't use the money which is earned on himself, even to enjoy, then he's called a miser. Similarly, we don't use his body, which is even more precious than money, we are called a miser. That's why scripture is called such person as Kripna. And they say here, Naveda Kripna Shreya. Shreya means ultimate benefit. There are two concepts, Shreya and Preya. Now what are these? Well, Shreya means benefit, and Preya means interest. Preya means those things which gives you happiness. Shreya means those things which can give you happiness or cannot give you happiness, but it will benefit you. For example, for children, playing is Priya. They like that, they enjoy that, and then they play. But for children, studies are Shreya. Shreya means ultimate benefit. So even if they don't like studying, but they have to study because it will benefit them in the future. This is called as Shreya. This concept of Shreyas and Preyas is very prominent in Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras begin with this concept that, now we are talking about Dharma, and this Dharma is talking about Shreya and not Preya. That's where they begin. But there's another concept in Vedas, which is called as Pravritti and Nivritti. So within Shreya, there are two other things, Pravritti and Nivritti. So Dharma Shastra says, okay, we will tell you what is for your benefit. But many people will not like that. Isn't it? You can tell a child, studies are beneficial to you, but child will not like. So what's the option? So the parents will say, okay, for part-time you study and part-time you play. You should balance. Okay, you like playing, fine, playing is allowed, but in the evening and whole day you should study. So there's a compromise in between. So that's why Dharma Shastra says, although there are two things, Preya and Shreya, But within Shreya, there are two brackets, Pravritti Marg, Nivritti Marg. Nivritti Marg is, okay, what is for your benefit? You do that and that's it. Don't do anything which is enjoyable and pleasing to you, because that's a block to attain God. So then they will say, okay, fine, you can do, can you close this window? So then they can say, okay, you should practice renunciation, tapasya, swadhyay, etc., etc. And that's called nivritti marg. Absolutely no sense enjoyment. But then there are majority of people cannot practice this. So for them, Dharma Shastra is okay. You should practice all these renunciation and austerities, and you should be strict with yourself and rules and regulations. But you can also enjoy within scriptural limits. You can do that. For example, Prabhupada says, for example, Shreya, if you go Nivritti Marg, then they will suggest, okay, don't marry, become sannyasi, brahmachari, lead your life. Why do I become entangled in marriage life? But then many people cannot practice this. So for them, Pravritti Marg. So then they marry. Because for them, there is, okay, you can marry and then follow rules and regulations of married life. That's what it is mentioned. So you can sort of, there's a license for sense enjoyment. It's like, okay, you should study, but for some time you can play. Like that. That's called Pravritti Marg. You can fulfill your desires within scriptural limits. That's the whole idea. Fulfill your desires within scriptural limits. That's called as Shreya. That's called as Pravritti Marg. Within Shreya. So Manu Samhita says, Nivritti tu Mahapalam. Although Pravritti Marg is mentioned in scriptures, there is limited scriptural sense enjoyment. A license is given there, but Nivritti tu Mahapalam. But real advice of scripture is Nivritti. Leave all sense enjoyment. That's the ultimate benefit of soul. Leave all sense enjoyment. But if you cannot, then there is within that bracket Pravritti Marg. You can do limited sense enjoyment according to scriptural rules and regulations, but ultimate target should be Nivritti. So here we have Shreyas. So you understood. So we have in scriptures we have Shreya and Preya, and within Shreya we have Pravritti and Nivritti. That's what we have to understand. So it is said here, Naveda Kripnaha Shreya. Misers means ordinary materialistic people. They have no kind of understanding of what is Shreya. They only go by prayer. They only go by what they like. That's ordinary people, isn't it? What they like, they do. I like this. I like to eat this. They'll eat. I like to do this. They will do. Eat that. Their whole premise of the life, the whole working principle in life is, what I like, I'll do it. That's all. Why should I think thrice? Whether should I do it or not do it? Why should I do it? Just do it. You might have seen on the shirts, isn't it? Just do it. That's those people are misers. They don't use this beautiful gift of human life which is given to us, human intelligence, human language which is there to glorify Krishna, this eyes which is there to see beautiful form of Krishna, this cognitive faculties of mind that we can appreciate that beauty, and we can also feel the various qualities of Krishna. This is not there in animal life. This is the special gift to humans, and if we don't use it to serve Krishna, we're misers. That's all. We can use it for ourselves, but if we don't use it for Krishna, we're misers. If we don't use all these faculties to benefit others, then we're misers. We just keep money, just keep this human life to us, and that's all. So Naveda Shreya Kripna Shreya Atmano Gunavastu Trik. Now they explain, okay, who is a miser? Who doesn't know Shreya, the ultimate real self-interest for the soul, which is bhakti, which is to serve God. Atmano Gunavastu Trik. And what actually so what the devotee, what these people do is, ordinary people who are not devotees, they're talking about non-devotees, what they do is Atmano Gunavastu Trik. Atmano means they see, Gunavastu Drik. Drik means to see. Drik means to see. And Vastu means object. And Guna means modes of material nature. So these people, they cannot see God behind creation. They see just creation. That's what these people are. Just like a miser can only see money, and they cannot see people behind money or relations or society. They only see money. They can even destroy their relations or anything from. That's what a miser is. So these people see Guna Vastudrik. These people see only Guna means modes or creation or desires. So who is a miser? They simply see, they can see only their self-interest, selfish desires, and they cannot see anything beyond it. That's all. Selfishness. Their whole Atmano means of the soul. Atmano also means dear. Can you just tell them to close the door? Atmano means dear. What is dear to them? Dear to them is their selfishness. That's what is dear to them. That's what people like. People don't like money. People don't like non-devotees. They don't like money. They don't like others. They like their own selfishness. That's all. In one sense, non-devotees are narcissists. They're simply interested in themselves. That's it. That's what is it. Atmano Guna Vastu Drik. Guna Vastu Drik. Drik means to see. Guna Vastu means their desires. And Atmana means what is dear to them. That's the story of our non-devotees. You see, the scriptures are so nice. They have summarized the entire word in one line. Naveda Kripna Shreya Atmana Guna Vastu. This is his material world. That's all. This is material life. That's it. Material life is based on selfishness. And a miser is a selfish person, isn't it? That's all. So, but the next part of the verse is important. Next part says, Tasya tan ichhato yachet. Next part says, okay, if a miser, if non-devotees, they desire something for their selfish interest, they are nonsense, of course. That life is nonsense, material life, selfish life. But if another person who fulfills his desire, he's equally nonsense. That's all. He's equally nonsense. And that's what Krishna says. Krishna says, so many people come to me for fulfilling their desires. And if I fulfill their desires, then I am equally nonsense. And that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is that verse is quoted. Hame vigya ek murkh vishay ke na dive. Krishna thinks in himself, see, I am intelligent and he's foolish. He's coming to me to ask so many things. And okay, fine, he can ask so many things, but he will use it only for himself. That's the problem. A devotee might also ask Krishna, but he will ask for the benefit of others. So Krishna knows he's asking his materialistic desires. First of all, a devotee never asks for material desires. Even if he does it for benefit of others or to serve Krishna. And that's okay. For example, Chitraketu, he desired that I should become Gandharva, and I should, with all the Gandharvas, I should simply dance and sing and glorify you. That desire was okay, although it was materialistic desire, but it was to serve Krishna. So that's fine enough. Or for example, Aditi and Kashyap, they desired a son. That was okay, but that was to serve Krishna in Vatsalya Bhav. Or maybe this Vasudev and Devki, in their previous lives, they were, I think, Krishna and Sutapa. I think so, yeah, Krishna and Sutapa. So they did a lot of austerities and they asked Krishna as a son because they wanted to serve him in Vatsalya Ras. So that's fine. So even material desires are okay if it is to serve Krishna. But Krishna saying, okay, I'm intelligent, but this person is a miser and he will ask material desires, that's okay, but for himself, and he will not use these desires for serving me and benefiting others. So this is a miser. You ask money to someone, that's okay, we can give you money. But then, well, okay, why do you want that money? Okay, I'll give everything to myself. Then who's going to give you money to anybody else? If he says, okay, give me money and I will help others with this money, then okay, you can take double of it, isn't it? That's the whole point there. So Krishna thinks, okay, he's a foolish man, because if he asks material desires and he fulfill it, and if he use it for selfish desires, then his selfishness increases. The problem is not with material things or material desires. The problem is material desires feeds selfishness. That's the whole problem. Material desires, which are for one's own self-enjoyment, that feeds selfishness. That's very important. And that's why there's a problem. There's no problem when asking Krishna something material. But if you use it for yourself, then that's a problem. And on the other hand, if you ask something spiritual from Krishna and you use it for yourself, that's also equally bad. That's also equally bad. So spiritual, and that can happen, isn't it? So what is liberation all about? You ask Krishna, liberate me. And then you ask for moksha, and Krishna says, okay, I'll give you moksha, but then that is purely for yourself. So that feeds your selfishness. You get moksha, but you become more selfish and your disease increases. Our disease is that we are selfish. We are always thinking of ourselves. That's all. We never thought about others. We never thought about Krishna. We are occupied within ourselves, and the whole spiritual life is to take you out of yourself. That's the whole point. So if we ask, if we ask Krishna, please give me mercy so that I can advance in Krishna conscious life, that's okay in one sense. But if you are only asking this, give me mercy and let me advance, then that feeds your selfishness. You're selfish because you're thinking of yourself only. And that, although it appears spiritual, but it'll actually lead you down on spiritual path. A devotee doesn't ask mercy so that he can advance just for himself. Nityanand Prabhu, Narottam Das Thakur says, Nitaya More Karo Sukhi. He says, Nityanand Prabhu, he prays, Nityanand Prabhu, please give me mercy so that I can serve you, so that I can advance in spiritual life. And why do you want to advance? So that I can serve you more better. And that's okay. So Gyanis and Yogis, they sometimes externally, they also do bhajans and pray. But their bhajans and prayers are very selfish, because Gyanis, Yogis, they say, okay, give us mercy so that we become pure. Why we want to become pure? So that we want moksha. That's all. There's no concept of serving others. There's no concept of serving God. So that's very, very selfish. And that is where Bhagavatam begins with the concept, Bhojida Kaita Vatra Nirmat Nam Satam. That leave all this cheating. Liberation, asking for liberation is the highest cheating which a soul can do. The highest cheating. Because it appears spiritual, but it feeds selfishness, and it will actually bind, ultimately it will bind you in this material world, in Janmati. And that is why Brahmaji says, Aryo Krichena Parampadam Tata Patanti Adho, they will ultimately fall down. So, anywhere, even spiritual or material, it doesn't matter. If it is selfish, then it's bad. If it is selfless, then it's okay. So even material, if it is selfless, that's okay. Even spiritual, if it is selfish, that's bad. And that is why you see there's another deep point here. Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Mahaprabhu's teaching is, don't think in terms of spiritual and material. That will not help you. Our thinking is in terms of selfishness and selflessness. That's our thinking. We are not really concerned about material and spiritual. That is why devotee prays, whether I'm a spiritual word or a material word, Krishna, I want to serve you, isn't it? That's the whole idea. Mama Janeshwari, doesn't matter if I'm a material word or spiritual word, but it's good. I mean to say, it's good if we are a spiritual word. Material word, there's so much problems here. Material body is another problem, but it ultimately doesn't matter until and unless we are selflessly serving you. That's the whole point. So even in spiritual life, be careful. Be careful. We might be practicing spiritual life, but if the underlying base is selfishness, if you're doing everything for yourself, then that's a problem. That's why Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and even Srila Prabhupada, they said, don't stay in Vrindavan permanently. Until unless there's some special service, that's okay, or you're advised by a spiritual master. Don't stay in Vrindavan, because staying in Vrindavan, doing your own bhajan is very, very, very selfish. Get out of Vrindavan and distribute Vrindavan to others, and that's a very good thing. So even in Christianity, it is said there are just two qualities you need to attain God. One is humility, of course, and the other is charity. Charity means preaching, means distributing love of God, distributing spirituality to others, distributing holy name to others. And it is said humility and charity, they both go together, hand in hand. There cannot be humility without charity. There cannot be charity without humility. By charity, I don't mean mundane charity, distributing food and all this kind of stuff, distributing love of God and bhakti to others. So for people who are not humble, people who are not charitable, who don't preach, they are not humble in the eyes of God. They are selfish. They are interested in themselves. Anybody who is interested in himself, that's called as ego, isn't it? And that's not humbleness. And anybody who claims himself to be humble and he is not preaching, then that means he's not humble. Anybody is preaching and he's saying he's humble, then it makes some sense. Because he is not, because anybody is preaching, he's saying, okay, I am not interested only in myself, I'm interested in helping others and serving God and helping God. So both go together, remember this. So that is why this is very, very important. Don't think in terms of material and spiritual. You'll be confused. We don't think in that way. Only in that way. I mean to say, there is a concept material and spiritual. But no, we don't think. And that is why there are principles of Yukt Vairagya, using everything in service of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says anything in the service of Krishna, that's spiritual, although the object may be material. The definition of spiritual material is also very different in our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. For Jnani, spiritual means an object which is not made of matter. And material means an object which is made of earth, fire, water, air, ether, of mind, intelligence, matter, some gross or subtle matter. But for Gaudiya Vaishnava, spiritual material, not that. For us, spiritual is anything which is connected to Krishna, that's spiritual. Anything which is not connected to Krishna, that's material. It's very different understanding what we carry. For us, are ontological. It's a functional concept. For Jnanis, it's a morphological. It's a concept. It's a concept which is related to objects. That's why Srila Prabhupada, one of the lecture, he said, he said somebody offered apple to him, and he said, this apple is spiritual because it's offered to God. So, well, but the object is material, but it's spiritual. Prabhupada gives that example, an iron rod which is heated. If you heat the iron rod till it becomes red, it almost functions like fire. It's not fire, but it functions like fire. Red hot iron, you touch anything, it'll burn. So in that, functionally, iron rod becomes fire, but not materially. Materially, iron is iron. And Prabhupada says, similarly, when we serve Krishna, when we use our bodies in service of Krishna, functionally our body becomes spiritual. Materially, it is material. Of course, it's material. Functionally, it is spiritual. So we are very focused on function and not the object. Function is important, and that's why you see you see our parampara, it's Shiksha Parampara, isn't it? The whole disciple section is Shiksha Parampara. We are interested in the function, in the instructions which is behind the function. We are not interested in the objects or people. There are so many acharyas in our parampara, but our parampara is not mentioning strictly the connection between people. That's not what we are mentioning. That is Diksha Parampara. Connection between people. We are interested in the function, what people are doing, and how people are connected functionally. That's called Shiksha Parampara. Remember this, we don't think in terms of material and spiritual from a what do we say, objective perspective. We don't think that like that. We think in terms of here it is said, we think in terms of function, selfishness and selflessness, anukul and pratikul, favorable and unfavorable, or connected with Krishna or disconnected with Krishna. That's what we think. Gaudiya Vaishnava thinking, Bhagavatam thinking is very different than what Upanishadic thinking is. That's very important to understand. And that's why Krishna says, any people come and people ask some material things from me. If they were asking material things for serving me, I would have given them. That's okay. But they're asking material things. First of all, they don't have any concept of spiritual things, and they only know material things. This is a miser, and they want to use only for themselves, and that's a problem. It will feed their selfishness, and the more selfish we are, the more entangled we are in these laws of karma. That's all. The more you are interested in yourself, the more you'll be bonded in laws of karma. That's the law. That is the law. That is the law. The more we are interested in Krishna, the more we are qualified for getting out of birth and death. And that's why Krishna says, okay, I'll not fulfill his desire. And that's the second part of this verse. If he asks us something, if that person, Ichhata yachet yadi, tan ichhata yachet yadi. Ichhata means desire, yachet means if I give them what they desire, then tatha vidha, sapi tatha vidha, then I am also a foolish man. Krishna says, Prabhupada gives a nice example. If a child asks poison and the mother gives poison, she is a foolish mother. Child will die. So the person doesn't know what is harmless and harmful for him. And if I also increase his disease of selfishness, then I am also a foolish person. Servant can be the fool. Servant can be fool, but the master should not be fool. The master should be intelligent. Isn't it? The function of the master is to help the servant to grow. So Krishna is interesting. Krishna will not fulfill your desires. Sorry, if you are here to Krishna to fulfill your desires, better go to Lord Shiva and Durga. Don't come to Krishna. It will not happen. He's not that kind of person. So he wants to see us become selfless. That's what he wants to see. And then he becomes very happy. And that's the whole point. That is why the concept of Kripna is there, miser. You see this, you see non-devotees, I mean to say, when I came to Krishna consciousness, when I read Prabhupada's Gita, Prabhupada says non-devotees are misers. I used to think, what is this? There are so many people who are not misers. If I look at myself, I'm not a miser. I mean to say, I was a miser. But others, if I look, people are not misers. People spend money open-handedly and they're okay. Everybody's not a miser. I used to think, why people is calling non-devotees miser? They could have called Prabhupada used to call non-devotees rascal and cats and dogs and pigs. That's okay, that we understand. But miser of all, that I couldn't wrap my head this concept. But now I understand that this is a absolute beautiful terminology, because the only qualification or disqualification which a miser has is selfishness, isn't it? He uses everything for himself. He doesn't distribute others. He doesn't share with anybody. And that's in hostel, we used to tell, he कंजूस मक्के चूस है, अपने पास सब कुछ छुपा के रख लेता है. वो सारे स्वीट्स घर से आते थे और अपनी अलमारी में, was in hostel. So he will not share sweets with anybody. And so that's the whole idea. And so miserliness is based on selfishness. And that I understood. Then I understood, actually that's why they are called as miser, because the disease is selfishness. Selfishness means I and mine. That you might have heard, main aur mera. That is selfishness. So Krishna wants to see this. Krishna wants to see that whether we are selfish or selfless. You will go to spiritual world if you are selfless. Selfish people are not allowed. They're not allowed. Because if you go to spiritual world, then you will make a mess out of that place, isn't it? You'll go there and you will ask, Krishna, give me mercy, and you will ask gopis, give me mercy. You'll ask Radha, Lalita, give me mercy, and they'll become mad. They'll say, what the hell, you're in spiritual world here. You have to give us something, serve something, or you're simply always mercy. You're complete nonsense. So always asking mercy from Krishna, that's also not a good strategy. That's a selfishness. That is why Srila Prabhupada says the prayer, please engage me in your service. Isn't it? Oh Hare, engage me in your service. Oh Krishna, engage me in your service. Prabhupada never said, oh Hare, give me mercy. Oh Krishna, give me mercy. Although people who are mature, they understand that, okay, we are asking mercy to serve him. But ordinary people, they do not understand. That's why Prabhupada says, okay, simply pray, serve. I want to serve you. Then that in itself is mercy of God. So it's very difficult to get out of selfishness. It's very difficult. Grossly, you can get out of selfishness, but it's very difficult when you come to spiritual line. It's very difficult to even identify that my actions are selfish or selfless. And that's what I mean to say. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami defines love of God and lust, isn't it? Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare prem nam atmendriya priti vancha tare boli kam. Lust and love. What is the difference? Selfishness. In love, there is no selfishness. You see, even the desire to, let me put it like that, even the desire to see Krishna, that's selfish. Now you might say, this problem. Well, gopis are like that. The desire to see Krishna, a desire to see Krishna is not selfish, but to pray to Krishna, please, please show yourself to me. That's in one sense selfishness, because you are saying, Krishna, please show yourself to me. I want to see you. No, gopis were not like that. When Krishna went to Mathura, what gopis said to Krishna? Krishna, please come to Vraj so that we can see you. So I mean, please come to Vraj if you so desire. If you're happy in Mathura, that's okay. Gopis had a desire to meet Krishna, but they didn't really express that desire. And they said, if you are okay in Mathura, that's okay. But if you do make your mind to come to Vraj, please come, because because Nand Baba wants to see you, Yashodama wants to see you, your friends want to see you, and we also want to see you. So it's not, gopis were not just thinking of themselves, they were thinking of all the devotees. So then it is a selfless desire. So that's why I usually tell, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you think devotion is all about you and Krishna, then that's not devotion. That is completely selfish devotion. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Radha Vina Krishna Imani. There has to be Radha in between. Because without Radha, you and Krishna, it's completely selfishness. As devotees, we don't want to meet Krishna. We want to make Radha meet Krishna. Just like Radha wanted to make Rajvasis meet Krishna. That was a desire. So our desire is we want to make Radha meet Krishna, and then we are happy. If you want to meet Krishna, then there's a whole problem there. Then that's a selfish devotion. And Krishna will never accept selfishness. Krishna says, if I fulfill their selfish desires might be spiritual, but that doesn't matter, it's selfish. So I'm a fool. And that's why it's very important to identify what is selfishness, what is selflessness. It's very difficult after some time. And that is all what is Krishna consciousness. And that's what Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, lust and love appear same. Both appear gold. Lust is like a rusted iron. Rusted iron also appears gold. And brass also appears gold. Isn't it? Brass, isn't it? It also appears as gold. And gold is gold. In appearance they are same, but internally they are very different. So if you want to advance in Krishna consciousness, my advice is try to have discrimination power between selfishness and selfless. Just focus your mind on this. Is my action, is my thought selfish or is selfless? If you can discriminate between these two, this means you are advancing. And you will advance. Otherwise, you will just be stuck on the same platform. And we'll never advance. We will be fulfilling our lusty desires in the garb of devotion. And that will be very, 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 very big disaster. Because we have got a big, big gift here. First of all, human body, and second of all, Mahaprabhu's moment we are there. And if we miss this opportunity by not really being intelligent enough to understand what Bhagavatam says and to discriminate between selfishness and selflessness, then we miss the whole point there. That's the whole thing. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, anything you want to ask? I just stand up.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for wonderful session today. You clearly explained Kripana and basically and also understanding selflessness and selfishness, that gives the whole thing of it. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Dear devotees, if you have any questions, please go ahead. I don't see raised hands yet.
They will raise hands.
There is.
Gail Mataji, she has raised the hand. I can see that.
Sorry. Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I really appreciated your point that devotees aspire to distinguish not between material, spiritual, but selfishness, selflessness. I think that was a beautiful point. A couple of questions. One is, I was also happy that you made this point about something being functionally spiritual, even though it may be material. So that point made me think of deities, which we say are non-different from Krishna. So when we see a marble murti, for example, should we understand that, yes, the murti is material, but it functions spiritually?
Well, it's not exactly like that, because Arch Vigre is a different kind of concept we are dealing with. Although Madhva Sampradaya, they do think like that. They think Murti is made of matter, but functionally it is acting spiritually. Just like, for example, spiritual master, what do you think about them? What about their bodies? It's material or spiritual. So we know their bodies are material. I mean, that's why they get diseased. Otherwise, it's not a spiritual substance. Everybody understands that. But they are functioning spiritually. So, but in deities, although Madhvas, they also view deities in such fashion. And that's why if you go to Udupi, what happens is when they make Krishna sleep, they don't close the doors. Whole night the door is open and you can see Krishna. But according to them, now the deity is not functioning spiritually. Because through Vedic mantras, they make Krishna sleep on a bed, but the deity is there. So it's a very different concept. It's a Vedic concept. So we used to go to be, in the night, 2 o'clock, and there we can have darshan. But in ISKCON, it's not like that. We close the doors because Krishna is really sleeping. You cannot have darshan. So although that thing is there in Madhva Sampradaya, but we don't accept that. For us, deities are also, by substance, they are also spiritual as far as we are concerned when it comes to Arch Vigre and Sri Sampradaya is concerned. And that is why we see deities can talk, deities can walk also, isn't it? Chaitanya Charitamrita. But we perceive it as material because of our consciousness. So that's the case with deities. It's a special exception.
Okay, so one explanation I've heard is that with deities, it's not that they're not material, is that they're not only material, they are material and beyond, spiritual. So
well, I don't think so. You can tell that because Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita to Jagannath Ji, he says that you are not wood, you are Sakshat Brajendra. Oh, my sound is reverberating. So
yeah, I think it's my I don't know if it's still there.
I don't know, somebody else probably. No, it's okay.
No, it's
somebody
okay.
else there. So Mahaprabhu said that you're not wood. And in fact, one person came with a poem to Sarvu Damodar to make it listen to Mahaprabhu, and he wrote in the poem that Jagannath is made of wood, but you are like living God, and he is God made of wood. And Sarvu Damodar was very angry. He said, "What the hell you are saying? This is wrong." So he said, "You are this is Apasiddhant, because the deities are completely spiritual. We perceive it as matter because of our material consciousness. Otherwise, they are not. It's the other way around. So it's not a mixture of material and spiritual. But I mean to say, if somebody says partly material, partly spiritual, then they have to give a proper explanation. What do they mean by that? Then what do they mean is it comes to the same thing. They are functionally spiritual but materially material. So then it comes to the same thing, and that's a bad way to see things. And deities are concerned.
You said, what was the last line you said just now?
I said that if people are saying they're partly material, partly spiritual, then they have to explain what they mean. They can't just keep it abstract and say, then if they're saying partly material, partly spiritual, then it comes to almost the same thing, that functionally they are spiritual, but materially they are material, and that doesn't apply to deities.
Okay, Prabhu. Just one last thing is the example that you gave of the gopis who, in their desire to see Krishna, they aren't selfish. And the reason you gave is because, they gave other people, as like an excuse. But they too wanted to see Krishna. And, what I've heard is that devotees, they want three things. They want relationship with Krishna, They want to serve Krishna,
No, that's
and they
okay.
want to be with Krishna.
That's fine.
So how
Gopis
is that
want.
selfish?
See, the point is, desire to see Krishna is not wrong. Absolutely not. But the whole point there is deeper than that. There are 2 points. One point is desire to see Krishna. Desire to see Krishna. Only you seeing Krishna, that's a problem. With gopis, the point is they wanted to see Krishna and they wanted all Brajvastis to see Krishna as well.
Okay.
But desire to see Krishna, okay, I only want to see Krishna and who cares for others? Then that's the one problem there, one problem. And another deeper problem, bigger problem, actually much bigger problem than that is gopis had a desire to see Krishna, not to fulfill their they wanted to see Krishna not for their sense gratification, not just to satisfy themselves. They wanted to see Krishna to satisfy Krishna, and that's a very, very important subtle difference. We want to see Krishna to satisfy ourselves, and that's complete sense gratification. Gopis are very different. They wanted to see Krishna because they knew that, okay, we want to see Krishna, we want to see. Krishna will ask, okay, why do you want to see me? So then they will say, oh, actually, he will become so satisfied. Krishna says, go to hell. This is nonsense, selfishness. But if you ask gopis, why do you want to see me? Gopis will say, well, we want to see you because we know that when you see us, you will be happy. We know that when you see us, when you see Brajvasis, you'll be happy. So it's a satisfaction for his eyes that they want to see Krishna, not their own eyes. So that's a very great difference there.
But for struggling sadhakas, this question is for the sake of encouragement. For the struggling sadhakas, in the interim, until we get to that Gopi Bhav, isn't it okay to want to see Krishna?
No, we want to see Krishna, but we have to rewire ourselves. We want to see Krishna to make him happy. And that is why, you see, if we think like that, it is actually beneficial for sadhakas. Because if we think, I want to see Krishna because it will satisfy me, then there's a bigger problem for sadhakas. Because, okay, I want to see Krishna, Krishna, please have mercy on me, and that's okay. But if we think, I want to see Krishna to make him satisfied, then what we'll do is we'll make ourselves qualified and pure enough so that when Krishna sees us, then he'll be happy. So it gives an impetus to make us ourselves as pure when Krishna comes in front of us, that is happy. And it's a very good way to think.
And the downside of, wanting to see Krishna, not only ourselves, but we want others to see him too. What's the downside?
Downside is nothing. That's always upside. We want to see Krishna.
You're saying it's not. No. Because you're saying that, it's like selfish for us to want to.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So the downside is if only we want to see Krishna and we don't want others to see Krishna.
No.
Downside.
We want others to. We want others also to see, but we're not thinking that we want ourselves and others to see Krishna for Krishna's sake. If we're thinking, we want others to see Krishna, basically, as you would say, for sense gratification.
No, but then the whole project fails. It's a failure. The whole project fails because it goes in sense gratification, and anything which is sense gratification, Krishna doesn't accept it.
But Prabhu, this is the last point. Those who aspire for those 4 kinds of liberation in Vaikuntha, I mean, those are because those people, their aspirations are selfish, you would say, isn't it?
Yeah, they're selfish. That's why Bhagavatam says that's cheating. Don't aspire
But they made it to Vaikuntha.
No. They didn't make it to Vaikuntha. That's the whole point. Those Sarupe.
Yeah, these people.
Yeah, Sarupe, Saluke, they actually made to Vaikuntha in this material world. They didn't go to Vaikuntha in the spiritual world. There's a lot of difference there.
Oh my God, I've never heard of Vaikuntha in the material world. It sounds
Yeah,
like
that's the whole point. That's the whole point there. You see, there we have Vaikuntha in this material world. Shirodaksa Vishnu, there's a Vaikuntha of Shirodaksa Vishnu. There's a Vaikuntha of Dhruva Lok. There is a Vaikuntha of Garbhodaksa Vishnu. And this Sarupe Mukti and all this, because they selfish desire, they will not be able to cross Birja River. They cannot enter spiritual world. It's blocked. So then they go in this material world, and then that's why, and they again, but they're in this material world, and they again fall down into birth and death, because they're still in material world. They don't cross the spiritual world, that line.
But Vaikuntha in material world, that's an oxymoron. I've never heard of this concept.
It's there. Well, it's there if you think properly. I mean to say, so where does Shirodaksa Vishnu live? Tell me. Shirodaksa Vishnu is in this material world. Am I right? So Brahma approaches Shirodaksa Vishnu when there's a problem, and that's Vaikuntha. So Brahma,
but he doesn't come in contact with the material world.
No, they are not in contact with material, but that's Vaikuntha in this material world, isn't it? Otherwise you tell me where Brahmaji will go to ask Vishnu when earth came and there was so much problem on the earth. Brahma with earth and demigods went to
the milk ocean. Milk ocean.
Yeah, so where is the milk ocean? It is not beyond material universe. Brahma cannot cross the boundaries of material universe. He cannot do that. He is there in this material world, and he is there on the milk ocean of Shirodaksa Vishnu, which is there in this material world, and that's called Vaikuntha in this material. Like that. Srila Prabhupada says even Dhruva's planet is called Vaikuntha planet. Dhruva is also called pole star. It's a Vaikuntha planet.
Well, congratulations, Prabhu. Once again, you succeeded in blowing my mind. I cannot understand. I mean, and there will be supporting evidence for this in CC also?
Yeah. There is a lot of supporting evidence. It's all over there. All over.
Because you do realize, right, that nobody thinks of Vaikuntha as being in spiritual world, in ISKCON anyway.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. But that's very obvious, isn't it? But because if you don't invoke this concept, then there are big problems. And Prabhupada clearly says, I mean, Prabhupada literally speaks that there is Vaikuntha of the material world, pole star, and Shirodaksa Vishnu. And if you don't invoke this concept, then there's a whole problem of Sarupe and Sayujya Mukti, isn't it? Sarupe, Saloke, then how do you explain that? And we know Sarupe.
I've been trying to explain that for a long time. I've been trying.
Yeah, you see that.
I've been trying to explain that for years.
Yeah, so now it's solved, it's solved for you.
Oh my God. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you for blowing my mind again.
Yeah, if you live with me, your mind will blow up.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Balram Prasad Prabhuji, please go ahead with your questions, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, I read something yesterday. One of the celebrities, she was leaving the world, and she was on the bed, almost 6/3.
Who is this? Who is this? Ekta Kapoor?
Lata Mangeshkar.
Achha.
So she had quoted saying that I had a car, I had a big house, I had everything, but now I'm in 6/3. So I was thinking about after reading that, we come on 6/3, we go back on 6/3, but where is this coming from, that selfishness and krupana nature for all of us? It's just mind-boggling. We are very tiny, but we come and then we'll say this whole thing is mine. Where is this selfishness coming from, Prabhu?
It is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the biggest selfish person. He's the most selfish person in the entire universe. There's no other more selfish than Krishna. But here's the point. His selfishness benefits us, and our selfishness harms others. Our selfishness harms others, his selfishness benefits others. That's the whole difference there. But Krishna is very selfish. He will not do anything. He will do everything for himself. That's his aim of life. I should do everything for myself. But that benefits others. That's the whole point. That's why he fixed his aim. He understands when he does everything for himself, it benefits others. So he thinks, okay, fine, let me be absolutely selfish. But then he advises us, you don't be selfish because your selfishness will harm others. But you want to imitate him. That's the whole problem.
Difficult to understand that how Krishna can be selfish and why cannot be selfish.
Well, that's the whole point, It's not easy, but you know what? It's not difficult in the sense we don't understand this, but we enjoy this because we want to see our master selfish, isn't it? Yeah. That's very enjoyable concept that Krishna wants to enjoy, and we like that. And the more selfish he is, the more we like it. So if you think it not from philosophy, but from rasa vichar, then you will enjoy this fact.
That means when we realize I want to be a servant, yes, then I can think about all this. Let my master be so and so. But
yeah, right.
But otherwise, that means that is selfless. So it will be. Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's just a reflection. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji, with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful class. Prabhuji, I have a doubt that Krishna does not fulfill selfish desires of mukti. So why does this Gyanis get mukti? Like why does they achieve mukti if Krishna does not want them to achieve? Why does Krishna directly give them love?
Because they're obstinate. They keep on asking. So Krishna says, okay, you take it and then you see what's the problem. A child asks again and again, Mama, toffee. Mama will say, no, your teeth will get spoiled. But he's after her life. So, okay, fine, take toffee. And see for yourself what's the problem. I don't want to fulfill because I know there'll be a problem. But if you don't understand, if you are after my life, then just take it and see for yourself. That's all.
Okay. And Prabhuji, in spiritual world, is only Krishna selfish or any other devotees are also selfish? Because Jivatma and Paramatma are one in quality.
In spiritual world, I told you, selfish people cannot go. That's for selfish people, there's material world. For spiritual world, they're all selfless. Only there's one selfish person, Krishna.
But we say that Jivatma and Paramatma are equal in qualitative sense. So in spiritual world, if Krishna has the quality of selfishness, then other people
that is
also
a very you see that's a very deep concept. Their devotees pose that they're selfish for the pleasure of Krishna, but they're not selfish. It's a deep concept. They will use selfishness to serve Krishna. So for example, Madhu Mangal will say, I want sweets, Krishna. But actually he wants to please Krishna by saying this. And that's a very different kind of mentality. So they know how to use selfishness to serve Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Taruni Mataji, please go ahead with your question, Mataji.
Yeah, if she's not asking, somebody else can ask because.
Taruni Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I could not hear. The voice is very soft, Mataji's. Prabhuji, my question is, you were saying like how we should not ask anything selfish to Krishna, right? Any selfish desires that we have, Krishna will not fulfill. Yet, in a loving relationship, right? When we are having a loving relationship with Krishna, there is a natural tendency to feel like there should be a reciprocation, right? So
Well,
is that also does it also come under the category of being selfish?
no, reciprocation should be there, but reciprocation should be all for the benefit of Krishna. That's all. Otherwise, selfish.
Can you please elaborate that, Prabhu?
Elaboration is we want to reciprocate with Krishna. We want to reciprocate in a way that Krishna. So when Krishna engages us in his service, then we are happy. That's reciprocation. But if we think, okay, I'm serving Krishna, and Krishna will take care of me, then that's complete lust. We don't think like that. We think, and if you want to really take a step further, and if you want to get mad, then real reciprocation is Krishna, you use us and throw us. That's all. And we are happy.
This is reciprocation that we can actually expect from Krishna.
Yeah. This is a reciprocation that we can only have with Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna will not even reciprocate with us.
All right. So this particular reciprocation that you are saying it doesn't come in the category of selfishness, and it's perfectly fine, right?
Yeah. We desire if Krishna engages in service, and that's a real reciprocation.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Saksagari Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Prabhuji, I have a question regarding Prabhupada has mentioned that the Vaikunthas, which you were just mentioning, are like local embassies in the material world. But I was wondering, where is it stated that these muktis, the four kind of muktis, are, confined to the material?
Well, these muktis are confined to the material. That's why Bhagavatam says, Projita Kaitapatra. This is cheating religion. Don't aspire for that. It is their selfishness, isn't it? That's of course there. Everybody says that. And selfishness means the sphere of material world. That's why Bhagavatam is saying, don't aim for that. Otherwise, why Bhagavatam will say? Because Bhagavatam begins with this concept, anything material we are rejecting.
Sure, Prabhu. I was just wondering if there are any explicit kind of references to that, these muktis are found in the Vaikunthas on the material realm, not on the spiritual realm, Prabhu.
Yeah, there are a lot of references in actually Padma Puran. There are lots and lots and lots and lots. So you might have to read Padma Puran, but I've written a book and it's not published, but I've written all the references there. There's so many references in Puranas.
So, will it be released soon, Prabhu, your book, or?
I don't know, but anyway, you can take it from my word. It's there in Padma Puran.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be great to have a copy of your book whenever.
Okay.
And my other question was around, like you were mentioning the Pravriti and Nivritti marg, and though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. So, he in one sense is preaching the Nivritti, but also we hear in the scriptures that, Sthane Site Sutivan Manu. So you can also be situated in your occupational position and still, do devotion service. How do we reconcile?
No. Being an occupational devotee, devotion is not pravritti. It's not pravritti marg.
Okay.
Pravritti nivritti is a mentality. Like I mean to say, you can be in occupational duty, but at the same time you can be completely in nivritti marg. But pravritti marg is you're trying to fulfill your desires in that occupation according to scriptural rules. But if you're doing occupation only to please Krishna, that's completely Nivritti marg. And you're doing occupation according to Krishna and for Krishna. And that's completely Nivritti.
Like, for example, you were mentioning earlier that, scriptures give the license to for sense gratification within the realm of marriage. So
Yeah,
that
that's
is
true.
pravritti. So
That's true.
devotees who are married, are they even eligible for devotion in that?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See, devotees who are married, it's a very complex question, but of course, in one sense, marriage is pravritti marg because there's no need of marriage, first of all. But devotees who are already married and then they come to Krishna consciousness. Devotees who are married, then they come to Krishna consciousness. Then it's a different story. So okay, fine, they come to Krishna consciousness, then they understand, okay, we should not be involved in illicit sex and we should follow rules, and that's okay. Then that might be nippriti. But devotees who are unmarried and then they become devotees and then they go in for marriage, then they're consciously going for pravritti marg. So like that.
So, we've heard of devotees who, who are born to Krishna conscious parents, and they are still married, right? Because for whatever reasons, like women are supposed to be in an ashrama, and so
yeah, for women you are right. For women you are correct. For women marriage is not. For women marriage is not pravritti marg. For women marriage is nivritti only.
Yeah,
because
so they do get married to a man. So, in that sense.
you see, Prabhupada says all men should remain brahmachari, all women should marry. That's the point there, Prabhupada said. Any unmarried devotee who is marrying, definitely he's on pravritti marg. He wants to fulfill his desires. Otherwise, why marriage? What's the point of marriage? Why you should marry? When we have understood Griham Kupam and all these things, definitely there's lust. That's some problem is there. So for males it's different. For females it's very different. For females it's the dharma to marry, and they're in nivritti marg. For males, so if a female devotee and male devotee marries, then female devotee is in nivritti marg and male devotee is in pravritti marg. So male is a loser, female is a winner probably.
That kind of is it's not too convincing, Prabhuji. I don't know why. I would like to think that they are doing a service, right? In that sense, if you were to think of it that way.
Well, you can like to think like that, but I don't think so. Any acharyas think like that, and of course, as far as I'm concerned, I will not think like that. I'm a brahmachari, You're asking the wrong question.
Of course.
Yeah. But in a sense, if you think normally, why an unmarried person, why an unmarried devotee wants to marry? Why, after all, why? For what? For what he should like to take headache of a female? So you can say, okay, he's having compassion on that female and helping that soul to practice devotion. That can always be there. But you know what? It's always mixed. That can be there. I'm not denying. Previously, rishis used to marry. Rishi patnis they used to have, and they were absolutely pure desire. They had to, help them. But nowadays, who is like that? Tell me. It's all mixed. It's more of lust. Practically.
Sure, Prabhu. I was just trying to understand from the point of view of, Grihastha devotees doing devotional service. It's not about marriage. So I'm just trying to understand about, like if we were to rule out Grihastha devotees altogether, that because they are not on the Vairagya platform, then that sounds a little discouraging.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's a case to case, depends. Case to case. A lot of things depends on case to case.
Thanks so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Megha Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Sagar, Shishla Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Shri Garanga. Prabhuji, as always, wonderful class. And as Gail Mataji says, you just blow our minds sometimes. One question that I have is, you said there's a selfish desire to want to have liberate or, seek liberation or to have the desire for liberation. But what if one has a desire for liberation, not to get rid of the miseries of this material world, but the desire to get liberated, to serve the Lord in the spiritual world with Radharani? Is that considered a desire that is selfish?
That is not, that's not selfish. If that we are desire liberation for serving Krishna, that's not selfish. That's not selfish, but that's not even ideal. So just like Mahaprabhu said, "Eo hoy, aage kaha is okay," but we need to go deeper, and the real standard is that we don't desire liberation. Krishna, wherever you want to keep us, we are okay with that. That standard we should come along.
Okay. Thank you, Babaji. Yes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
You have time, Prabhuji?
Yeah, just okay, fine. Just one more question, then I'll just
okay. Romal Prabhu, I don't know Prabhu or Mataji. What is this?
Romil Mehla, I think she's female. Romil.
Okay. Yeah, Prabhuji. Panchang Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I will ask a short question. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have this question. I asked many people, but I get different answers. So my question is very simple. It's like it is said that this Kali Yuga is, in Kali Yuga, that Harinam Sankirtan is the solution that would help us. But Harinam Sankirtan, if we see in specification, it is chanting Lord's name in public, loudly chanting Lord's name in public. But Harinam Sankirtan means that, right?
No.
In CC also it is mentioned.
Well, there's so many definitions Prabhupada is giving of Harinam Sankirtan, not just this. This is there.
Okay,
but
that's always a confusion.
So, okay, fine. If that's a confusion, Srila Prabhupada never says only chanting in public, that is only Harinam Sankirtan. Prabhupada has said so many times Harinam Sankirtan also means Sankirtan means chanting together. So it might be in public, it might be inside your house. Also, Sankirtan means chanting together, congregational chanting. So in your house, Harinam Sankirtan also means japa, because you are chanting with your body, mind, intelligence, and soul together. So there is also concept of congregation. Together you are doing things all together. So that's also Harinam Sankirtan. Harinam Sankirtan can also means serving Krishna. Preaching is also Harinam Sankirtan, because it's not just chanting. Sankirtan means glorification. You can glorify Krishna by preaching. That's also Harinam Sankirtan. So it's a very broad definition. Prabhupada says so many things about Harinam Sankirtan. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says so many things about Harinam Sankirtan. So that's not just public thing.
That's what I confusion was, that we always stress on chanting. We always stress upon chanting. We don't mention it as Sankirtan. We always say, keep chanting, improve your chanting, do better. Way,
So because
apply different techniques for chanting, but we never mention it as Sankirtan.
Yeah, you're right, but that's wrong. Harinam chanting is also Harinam Sankirtan, because we are chanting together, body, mind, intelligence, and soul together.
Okay, thank you so much. I got my answer today. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So, Mataji, I think I want to end here. I have another class.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much for your valuable time, Prabhu. I would
Hare
like
Krishna.
to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas summoned on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhu devatanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Anantakoti Vaishnavi Jai.
Keshavanand
Radha
Prabhu
Srimad
ki
Bhagavatam
jai.
6.9.49.
Thank you everyone for joining. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much.